So hey there you guys, my name is Kristen Gosinski. I'm going to be your instructor for ENGL2130. I am very excited to start working with you on this. Before we dive right in, I want to give you a little bit of a rundown on the class. So basically this class has two tracks. Right? The first track is the readings and the assignments that are associated with those readings, okay? Those can all be found in the weekly assignments folder. And then we have a research project that runs throughout the entirety of term, like starting right away to ending right at the end, okay? So wait, how do we tell those apart? What in the world? I'm going to show you. Don't worry, okay? I'm there every step of the way with you. It is not something that I want you to feel worried about or stressed about as we start doing it. If you are not feeling comfortable, that's when you reach out to me. All right, so that dives into my next point, which is the best way to reach out to me and get in touch with me is by email. I check my email every day, first thing in the morning through 5 o'clock p.m., in the evening. And if you email during that kind of time bracket, you will get a response from me same day. If you email me after 5, I'll email you back in the morning. Okay, same thing for weekends. I don't check email on the weekends, so make sure you plan ahead with questions you might have, especially for assignments that maybe you're struggling with. Ask me in advance, ask me over the week, which means get started on your assignments early. Don't wait until the last second, because most of our assignments for the research project are due on Saturdays and Sundays, right? So if you email me on those days, I'm not going to see it. So get in touch with me during the week. Plan your schedule, okay? That is so important and something that we don't value enough. Now, I will tell you that this class is a lot of work. I'll be the first one to say it. It is. We have probably about 50 pages of reading every class session, and that is specifically for the readings that are assigned each week. Some weeks it's a little bit less, some weeks it's a little bit more, okay? So just keep that in mind for your scheduling. Your research project, I mean, this is big. I know I keep talking about it without giving you any like page numbers or anything like that, but we're not there yet. But this research project is also time consuming. But the more you put into it up front, the better it will be as we move through. So, 2 tracks, right? Readings and weekly assignments. These are things like discussion boards and responses to our class session. You'll see those in a minute. And then the other track, the research project. Okay, you'll see that broken down into the different parts, and then you can submit each of the different parts. I'm there with you every step of the way. There are videos that'll help you do this, help you accomplish this, but at any point, reach out, ask questions. All right, so without any further ado, let's shoot over to Blackboard and take a look at what we've got going on there. All right, hey, I'm down here now. So we've got a couple of things going on in Blackboard, and this should make it easier for you, okay? Everything that I've done is to streamline things, make things seem less overwhelming, that kind of thing. All right, so I'm in student preview, so this should be exactly what you see, minus some minor tweaks, as we kind of go along. So we'll see over here, we log in, and the first thing we'll see is our announcements page. Super important. We need to make sure that you can see any sort of major announcements that I make throughout the term. I always send them as an email too, so make sure you're checking your email to get them as fast as possible, and then you can also see them on the announcements page. All right, you'll probably see a different announcement or another announcement when you go to check today. All right, so we have the homepage. Honestly, the homepage is just a little clunky. It doesn't do much, but I know GTC likes us to keep it. So I've left it there, but just know that sometimes it doesn't quite work as it should, with its little modules and whatever. So that's why we go to the announcements page first. All right, Instructor Policies. This is where you'll find the things that govern our class, the policies that we see. Now, if you see something like this, you'll need to sign in. There we go. It usually just kind of logs you over using your Blackboard login. Okay, so that's important to keep in mind. So we've got our instructor policies here. You can see my name, my email, all the normal stuff. As I said before, the best way to get in contact with me is over email. If you call me and I don't expect your call, I might not be in here, right? We've got our office hours, in person and virtual. We don't need a textbook. How cool is that? Okay, grade weights, breakdowns. If you look, you'll see these first three things are the parts of the research project, just sort of broken apart. Okay, so essentially, your research project as a whole is going to be worth 40. You're watching me do math in real time, by the way. So 40, like 75% of your overall grade for the class. You'll have components every week. So, like you'll see how that's very pervasive in our course. Discussions and discussion board portfolios and participation are worth another 25%. Those are specifically tailored to our readings, and participation is linked to your participation in our class discussions. All right, we can see here, I'm not going to go over each of these policies individually because I want you to read them. I have some non-negotiables, all right, so some things that you have to do, and each of those are associated with a larger policy. All right, so I want you to keep these things in mind throughout the term because this document supersedes everything. All right, so make sure you take a peek through. If there's something on this that you're like, oh my gosh, I can't work with this person, it's no worries. You're welcome to drop the course during the drop add period. Okay, this document is a contract between you and I. By staying in the class, you agree to follow it, and I agree to follow it. All right, that's how that works. So we have all of the policies. They're numbered in exactly the same way. So that should make it easier for you to follow along. Okay, so we don't need to talk about this in great detail because I want you to read it. All right, and we have a little bit of a quiz on this to make sure that we understand the policies and things. We've got the Start Here section. Now, the Start Here has kind of greater detail in the syllabus. It has the instructor policies, but then it also has course competencies, essentially the things you will learn, which it's basically analytical skills. We'll be further developing our writing skills, and we will be, kind of working toward a very large project. Your academic affairs policies are the same for every class, so if you haven't read them yet, you probably want to because by staying in class, you agree to follow them. So that's pretty important. Now, My Grades is where you'll find any of my feedback. If you've never worked with Blackboard before, you've got access to the documents that you have uploaded. You've also got access to any feedback that I give you for them. So My Grades is your best friend for that. Every assignment, it will also build to something bigger, right? So, you'll want to make sure that you're keeping an eye on the feedback as we go through. Don't start the next part of the research project until you check the feedback on the earlier part. And don't just look at the grade, okay? It's the feedback that's the most important. Now, if you're still sitting there going, oh my goodness, how do I separate what is a weekly assignment, what is a, something that is part of the research project? That's a great question, okay? And we have a course calendar that'll show you all that jazz. All right, so we have, a little key up here. So you can see, okay, well, discussion board posts are due on Mondays and Thursdays. That is largely the case. Occasionally there's a holiday. So keep an eye on the date. Of course, if you want to still submit on Mondays and Thursdays, if you're like me and you like routine, go for it. Class session recording responses are due on Saturdays. Research project assignments are due on Sundays, okay? And we can find them in the appropriate learning module. How do we figure that out? Well, if you see something in plain text in the assignments list, then you know that it is in weekly assignments. If you see something in bold over here, you'll know that it's part of the annotated bibliography. If it's in italics, it's part of the literature review, and underlined is part of the literary research essay, so that final paper. All right, you see we break it down by week. I will also check off the assignments that we have already completed once we do. It may take me until the next day. Actually, I know it will because I'm not awake at midnight. But yeah, so we'll do that. Our readings are going to be due at the beginning of class time, so we can talk about them. If you haven't read, it makes it really hard, right? So make sure that you are taking a look at these readings and reading them carefully as we go, all right? Now you'll say, okay, well, none of those are links. How do I access them? Great question. You access them through lessons. All right, so you're here. Right now we have two folders. We have weekly assignments and we have annotated bibliography. Now, keep in mind, those line up with the stuff on the course calendar really obviously. Okay, so let's look at weekly assignments and see what we see. All right, so for week 1, we know that we have, these readings and videos. We have some written assignments that need to be done. Okay, but how do we get to them? Okay, well, I asked you to take a look at Instructor Policies. Boom, I've got them linked right there. You just use these tables, the table of contents, to scoot around. Our course calendar is still here, right? So you can access that. And once you have read through those, we have a welcome quiz. Now, the welcome quiz is really important. Make sure that you do the welcome quiz by the deadline. If you don't, then you'll be dropped from the class. So don't put yourself in that position. So we've got the welcome quiz. I always put the deadline in the title, in the title of the assignment, so that way it's very easy for you to see. By the way, if you want to see the table of contents bigger, you can click this button here, and that way you'll see all the dates and things associated with it. Okay, so we've got our welcome quiz and we have our plagiarism quiz. Now, both of these are available to you already. Okay, once you finish those, you might want to take a look at the research project overview, right? It gives us a little bit of information about how the research project works together, and I need to more fully populate this. Yeah, this video is being weird. Okay, so there will be a little bit more information once you see it. Once you hear more about that, then you'll be like, oh wait, I need to choose a book. There we go. And that book is listed in primary source novels for your research project. Okay. So it gives you a little rundown, that kind of thing, and a little note on citations, right? Things that that's probably going to get moved into kind of this part here. So that way everything for instructions is all there. And you can see the options that I've picked out for you. Now, this is not an exhaustive list. This is essentially a list of things that I could offer you for free. There are other books out there, tons, that would totally work, but I didn't want to get busted for copyright infringement, so I was only able to get you these. So definitely, if you have another one in mind, let me know, okay? And we'll see if it'll work out. Just let me know before you have to choose for the first assignment. All right, so that is kind of week 1, getting to know the course, starting to think about the research project. Week 2, this is what the rest of the weeks will look like. All right, so we've got the readings. Again, you'll notice I'm posting things in multiple places. And then we have written assignments. Okay, now these written assignments are for the weekly assignments, right? They are not also inclusive of the parts of the research project. These are specifically discussion boards and class session recording response. So you'll want to have that course calendar maybe printed out if that's how you like to roll, right? Or have it kind of saved on your computer so you can refer back to it. All right, once you're done, if you want to click mark reviewed, you absolutely can. And you can be like, oh, yeah, I totally looked at that. Sweet. So let's unreview this one because I didn't actually look at the rest of the stuff in this folder yet. But if you want to download the documents, the readings, you can download them from here. I strongly recommend downloading the readings so you can annotate them. You probably went over that in English 1102, so I'm not going to go over that here. But let's say you're in a bit of a pickle, right? And you get some bad news. You have to go on a trip. Maybe someone is ill. Hopefully this doesn't happen to you, but sometimes downloading on your phone can be a huge pain. You don't have the opportunity to blah, 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 all that. You can still access the readings. They're listed here for you. So you'll be able to do that. You can also download from this page. And you can also have it read to you from the bigger weekly module here. Okay, so if you're someone who likes to listen, definitely go for that. And the only way, or the way to do it, would be to hit that play button that I just clicked up here. It pulls up this little guy. And let's say we want to listen to this. We can click on that button. It'll load, do its thing, and then we can get started with listening. Listen to that. And it shows you as you go, so that way you can process it visually as well as auditorily. All right, so where did my other folder go? There we go. So you can also see in this folder that we have our discussion board, right? It gives you the instructions and then the prompt. All right, same thing each week. I try to be nice and consistent. We have the first 3 weeks available to us. Week 2's class session recording response is here, okay? And this is the prompt for it. You just upload a document here. Do not use a text submission for any assignment in this class. All right, you need to upload documents so that I can see the formatting and all of that stuff. Text submissions don't even allow me to make comments or anything like that. So I want to make sure that I can do that for you. All right, so that is essentially the weekly assignments folder. You can see exactly what that looks like. I strongly recommend going through the table of contents rather than clicking these next buttons in this one because of the fact that you'll be clicking through 30 pages of content in 3 weeks. Like that's a little ridiculous, but don't freak out. It's just because we have our primary sources listed here. Okay, so if we wanted to see maybe the first part of the research project, the annotated bibliography. All right, you can see the assignment requirements. Those come up first. You can see a sample. There is an overview video. Okay. Hey, look, it's me. I'm looking at me. I'm right next to me. It's weird. You can see that. We also have an assignment, right? Choosing your primary source, which has no text on it. I apologize. But here's a video about doing that. Again, we list the primary source novels. If you want to collapse that, you can just use the plus or minus and choose your primary source. This one is a quiz, so you just click to launch. You type in your primary source, author, and title, and then you're good to go, right? You just click submit, you're done. All right, but you can see that each assignment has multiple parts, right? The research question has 2 videos that are associated with it, right? Strategies for reading and also creating your research question, then the assignment. Okay, so each folder has multiple levels. All right, so I just wanted to kind of show this to you so that way you, are familiar with the way that Blackboard is configured. Remember, the big takeaway here is use the course calendar. That shows you everything all in one spot, all right, and makes it so that you can follow along as you go. Again, I have it in 2 places, weekly assignments, and in this menu to the left. This is going to be your best friend, okay? So just keep that in mind. All right, so of course, if you have any questions or anything like that, please let me know. Send me an email. Otherwise, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys soon.